Hi, I'm Michelle, Senior Product Manager at Miro. With me today is Ashwini.
Hi, I'm Ashwini. I'm an engineering manager at Miro. Nice to meet you all.
We'll be walking you through how we've been building in the M365 ecosystem with extensibility in mind. We'll be covering the details of both how and why we built message extensions in Teams, as well as how we've scaled that to Outlook and Copilot. Now, for some context, Miro is an innovation workspace, and our mission is to empower teams to build the next big thing. While teams are moving through the discover, define, and deliver stages of innovation, they're often working with multiple tools. Their workflows are taking them between Miro and M365, and we really want to ensure that the transition between these tools are as seamless as possible with our integrations. Now, within Microsoft's ecosystem, Teams is a hub where conversations are happening, and we found that users are sharing Miro board links as a way to start collaboration. And we believed that we could make that a bit better than just sending a URL that maybe doesn't mean very much. So we invested in message extensions to support link unfurling. This way, when Miro board links are shared in Teams, it's not just a URL anymore. It'll unfurl into an adaptive card with helpful metadata for both the link sender as well as the link receiver. We added information such as board owner, so that if you have a burning question you want to follow up with, you know who to find. We also added recent activity, so you can tell if there's anything that you need to catch up on. Adaptive cards are also a great launch pad for quick actions. But no spoilers, I will first turn it over to Ashwini to deep dive on how we implemented this functionality.
Thanks, Michelle. Hello once again. So today I'm going to take us through how to enable link unfurling via the message extension framework. To enable link unfurling, you start with an existing bot app manifest config. If you don't have an existing Microsoft Teams bot, that's okay. It's very simple to set it up. You can do that using two options, either the Azure APIs or the bot framework SDK that's available. So assuming that you already have an existing Microsoft Teams bot app, to enable link unfurling feature, you simply need to start from your bot app manifest. So let me share my screen to show you how to do that.
Awesome. We're getting a real live walkthrough here.
Yes, you are. So back to the manifest schema. So as you're already aware, the manifest schema is a JSON structure. So in the given JSON structure that you might already have, all you have to do is simply add the new compose extension section to your manifest section. And in this compose extension section, you need to provide some key informations to enable link unfurling. To start with, of course, your bot ID, for which you're enabling the link unfurling messaging extension feature, and then the domain for which you want to start providing link unfurling feature as well. And the third option is something that we will talk about in a bit. So once you have this configured, you also need to remember that now you will start receiving link unfurling requests from Microsoft Teams. So your web service should have the logic to handle these incoming events. For any link unfurling events that you might receive, you have four options with which you can respond. It would be adaptive card, thumbnail card, hero card, or a Microsoft O365 card. In our case, we chose to utilize the adaptive card. The reasoning being, of course, Michelle, our PM, wanted the most complex one with all the scope creep possible. I'm kidding. So the reasons why we chose to use adaptive card out of all the four card options that we had, firstly, adaptive cards are platform agnostic. These cards are a little UI JSON structures that are available, which you can use to generate your UI segments. And the most important feature of the adaptive card is it adapts to the host where the card is rendered, right? You see what I mean? And the other factors that pushed us to use adaptive card is we also wanted to have more richer information presentation. We wanted to have some quick actions available, and adaptive cards seem to have all of these. Now, let's take a quick look into how this all thing works in the background. So let's take an example where Michelle and I are preparing for this Microsoft Build presentation. Michelle has all the content that she wants to present to you guys, and she wants to share that with me. So naturally, she'll land on Microsoft Teams and try to compose a message for me. And in the message composing section, Michelle now drops a Miro link. If we don't have the link unfurling, all that I'm going to see is a blob of text and some link that reads Miro.com, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's not very useful for me. And I have to actually click on the link to understand what's happening there. But assume now that we have enabled the link unfurling, so what happens here is when Michelle drops the link in the compose section, we receive a compose extension query link request on our side, which is our backend. And once you receive this request, your handler simply needs to understand, okay, this is a URL that I recognize, this is a document that I recognize, and these are the information that I want to display as part of the link unfurling. So the response here would be the adaptive card JSON structure that we spoke about a little while ago. And once your service returns this JSON structure, Microsoft Teams, or the messaging extensions framework, will now use this JSON structure and render an adaptive card for Michelle, which will look something like this. So this now gives Michelle also some information about the board that she's sharing, who owns this, and even some quick actions that she can do from here. Okay, in case maybe she wants to add some things on the Miro board before she shares it with me, and she can easily do that by clicking on Open in Miro. So once that is done, Michelle is fine with the message that's composed. She's okay, I've attached the right board, all good, and she sends the message to me. And on the receiver side, I'm going to now see Michelle's message, and not just a random URL, but also an adaptive card, which makes me more curious and interested to learn about what's inside that document. And that is how we utilize the messaging extensions link unfurling feature to provide better user experience for users who are communicating on Microsoft Teams. Now back to Michelle to talk more about how we utilize message extensions in our search extensions as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashwini. That was really informative. So while we were building link unfurling, and I'm kind of using we a little bit generously here, I really just mean Ashwini and the team, not me. But we were also evaluating the opportunity to build an integration with Copilot. Copilot was on our radar because we had a lot of demand from customers, but also because we don't live under a rock. It was in the news all the time, and we knew that it could really add value by, again, increasing the discoverability of Miro boards, but also accelerating workflows around content synthesis and generation. Now, there are two ways that partners can integrate with Copilot. There are message extensions and graph connectors. We decided to go for message extensions for a few different reasons. The main one, as you might have guessed from our session title, is because we had this existing investment in the message extension framework and adaptive cards for unfurling. So this means that the work we'd already done would ensure a lower lift compared to graph connectors if we chose. So if we went down message extensions route, we would have a much lower lift compared to graph connectors. And this is really huge for us because then we go to market faster and really validate the Copilot opportunity faster. Also, like Ashwini shared, adaptive cards can support quick actions. And this is something that we were really keen to include in a potential Copilot integration so that when Copilot returns a Miro board, a user can really quickly springboard from that card into collaboration, maybe by opening a board, as Ashwini shared, or managing sharing permissions, or even embedding that board as a tab within Teams so you can collaborate without even having to leave the Teams environment. So after we shipped link unfurling, we continued to invest in the message extension framework, but this time to support search message extensions. Search message extensions enables users to search and return Miro boards from within that message compose box. It's super handy if you're like me and you have a million tabs open, so it's impossible to find the link. It's also a triple threat because it then enabled us to extend link unfurling into Outlook and for Copilot to start returning Miro boards in responses. All right, Ashwini, are you ready to give us the inside scoop on how we built all that?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
Once again, we are going to start from the good old JSON structure of our bot. To enable search message extensions, all that you need to do is simply sign up for the command that provides you or enables the search message extension feature for your bot, for your existing bot. If it's not existing, you can again build it and then introduce these commands for your bots. Now, coming back to the JSON structure itself, all you need to do is simply add this small JSON into your manifest schema. And the first important piece of information here would be the name of your command. This is a predefined name, which Microsoft Teams already has. You have a set of 10 commands with which you can work with and play around and utilize for various use cases you may have. But in this example, we are going to use the search command because that's what we want to do. We want to build search message extensions. And the next important property here is the parameters property. This defines the list of query parameters that you want to provide in the search functionality with which the end users can perform search. So yeah, those are the two important piece of information. If you have any other questions on other properties that you see here, you can simply go onto the Microsoft Teams documentation, look for search message extension, and you'll have all the details there. Now, how does this work in the background? Now, let's go back to our previous example. Michelle wants to send me a Miro document, but in this case, she doesn't remember the pod name. So what does she do? So don't worry, Michelle, we have you covered. All that you have to do is open the quick actions and click on the Miro board. So when you have search message extension enabled, and if the user opens your app, Microsoft Teams or the messaging extension framework will send you a compose extension query request. And in this handler, what you could do is return a list of adaptive cards. This is very similar to, if you remember what we did in the link unfurling, there it was a query link request for which you sent one adaptive card. But in this case, it's a query request where you're going to send a list of adaptive cards. Once you respond with the list of adaptive cards, Michelle will see that information as the initial screen listed on her screen. And now she can start typing and entering the query parameters with which she needs to search. And once she starts doing that, you will start receiving the same query request, but this time with more query parameters that was entered by our user, in this case, which is Michelle. And you process that and then again respond with a list of adaptive cards. And in this case, the query parameter was sprint, and then now we have shortlisted all the list of boards with board names, specifically with a sprint in there. So that is how we built search messaging extensions. One thing that we do want to call out was because we invested in building adaptive cards for link unfurl, when we had to extend the message extensions framework to support search message extensions, we simply had to build a handler to handle the query request. And since we already know how to build an adaptive card, there was a lot of time that we saved there. And some of the other callouts that I want to say for the message extensions and the time that we spent on message extension has added value for us because not only did we reuse the adaptive cards that we built between link unfurl and search message extensions, but we also will be reusing or this in Outlook and Copilot as well. So again, in this case, most of the things within the adaptive card are simply going to work out of the box because it's the standard UI component that we have built. And as you can also see, it adapts to the ecosystem where it's displayed. If it's Teams, it adapts to the Teams UI. If it's displayed in Outlook, it adapts to the Outlook UI. If it's in Copilot, it adapts to the Copilot UI automatically. And we're also hoping that we could probably in future, when there is a Copilot in Word, we could reuse and extend the work that we have already done into Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint as well. With that, that is all we had to demo today. I'm handing over to Michelle to close us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I hope you're inspired by what Ashwini shared and ready to build your own M365 message extensions app. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.